Hi everyone, hope the class is going well so far. I wanted to give you a little overview of week 1. Some of the things that might be helpful for this week for you to focus on, looking at some of the course concepts, things like that. I think this week will be an important week for you to get your footing on what's required. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the chapters. After I cover the chapters, I'm going to cover the assignments for you. For this week, you're going to read chapters 1, 2, and 3. You'll notice that these are very important chapters and the basis of a lot of the things we have to do in the course. And it sets a groundwork for a lot of the decisions we have to make. Economics is the study of unlimited wants with limited resources. Everyone wants something in economics. When we look at economics, it's forcing us to make decisions given our challenges that we're facing. So in chapter 1, we're going to look at different economic concepts. And one of the concepts we're going to look at that's a little bit important is going to be opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is looking at what you have to give up to get. Now you're probably wondering, opportunity cost, I don't have to give up anything to come to this class. But when you come to the class, you have to give up both your time and money in the decisions that you have to make. So that's going to be important to focus on. Another concept we're going to look at is macro versus microeconomics. Economics is divided into two broad fields, macro and microeconomics. When you look at macroeconomics, it's looking at economy-wide policies and how the economy affects individuals or businesses and the decisions they have to make. Micro is a little bit different. Micro is looking at how individuals and businesses affect decisions for the whole, for the economy. It'll be very interesting to look at these two different fields. The next thing we're going to look at this week is we're going to look at markets. Markets are a very good way to organize economic activity. And markets are comprised of both buyers and sellers making decisions in our economy. For example, if the price of a product's too expensive, well, buyers aren't going to buy as much, but suppliers might want to supply more of it. So when you look at the concepts of supply and demand, everything in our economy deals with supply and demand and decisions we have to make. So I think you'll find this week very interesting with supply and demand and a couple of those concepts. The focus on supply and demand that I want you to look at is looking at the determinants of supply and demand. For example, the determinants of supply and demand that I think are important, with demand, you want to look at price of related goods, like substitutes and complements, income, tastes and expectations, and number of buyers. Those are very important to evaluate when you're looking at the determinants of demand and why or what causes the demand curve to shift. Another thing you want to look at is supply, as supply is looking at suppliers. And when you look at suppliers, you know that suppliers want to sell more at a higher price. Now that's key. Given that suppliers want to sell more at higher prices, you'll notice that there'll be a lot of decisions that are made. How much should we supply? At what price should we supply it? But the determinants of supply is what you should focus on in the decisions that you have to make. And the determinants of supply look at the number of sellers. Other things with the determinants look at input prices. All of those are very important in the decisions that we have to make. Now, let's focus on the questions that you're going to look at. In the introduction section, the poster introduction, you need to make sure to have your initial post submitted by Tuesday and 3 peer responses. So you need a total of 4 responses in your work. Now, discussion number 1, a little bit different. In discussion 1, you're going to discuss how your college education could be considered an investment in human capital. Human capital is investment in education. Physical capital is a little bit different. That's an investment in machines. Okay? So what you're looking at is, what's the opportunity cost of getting a degree? When you look at your opportunity cost of getting a degree, you want to look at what you have to give up. And a lot of people don't realize the things they have to give up to actually get a degree. So make sure to focus on that. Let's say that the military pays for your education. You still have to give up something. Now, every initial post, make sure that you have an in-text citation and a reference. And make sure that that is in APA formatting, which is very important. Now, in your peer responses, make sure you're adding value to them. Make sure to have at least a 1-paragraph response. A 1-paragraph response will be very good to actually provide good feedback to your peers. Posts like "good job" don't really work. Okay? Now, discussion number 2. Economic study of how society chooses to allocate its scarce resources. And you're looking at the factors of production in those scarce resources. In a mixed economy, you have elements of central planning, market allocation, and how we allocate things. Now in the U.S., we're a mixed economy, but we have more of a bias towards market allocation, with the government just overseeing those. Now, discuss whether you are in favor of a larger or smaller government. When you look at a larger or smaller government, in this example, you want to look at how economies operate. And you will look at, do you think the government brings about more efficiency in our economy? So those are things you want to focus on in your analysis. And the last thing you have to do for this week is a quiz. And the quiz will consist of 10 multiple choice questions covering chapters 1 through 3. So if you have, like I said before, if you have any questions, send me an email. I'll be more than willing to help. Another key thing is, make sure to get your work submitted on time, as there's no late work submitted in the course. I'm not saying that submitted, accepted in the course. So really focus on getting your work submitted on time. And if you need any help, just let me know. But I look forward to a successful week 1.